Well, howdy there, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I want to do a little bit of an impromptu hydrangea tour just because I wanted to talk to you about another hydrangea that I bought, and also I wanted to talk to you about how I pruned some of my Panicle hydrangeas. It's, peak hydrangea time pretty much. So I want to show you what's going on. So this is where I put the little Macrophylla that we recently talked about in a video. The flag is there because my garden helper, I needed to show her where to water while I was out of town. And I do need to scrub my little bird bath there. I scrub that quite often. But this is under a Kusa dogwood tree, which is right here. And so it's going to get the proper shade that it needs. And I also believe it's going to get the proper amount of sun. You can see how the blooms have faded quite a bit since we featured it in the video. And if you haven't watched that, I will link that below. But we have been in such a major drought here in my zone 6B/7 in the Blue Ridge Mountains that it just took a hit, and it was super hot when I planted it. It took a hit, so the blooms faded pretty quickly. They would not fade that quickly under normal circumstances. Thankfully, we've had a good bit of rain recently, so I expect it to do just fine next year. But then we come to one of the little quick fires, and you can see the pretty stand of Goldsturm Rudbeckia there. This is where I had a bunch. This whole area was Goldsturm Rudbeckia, and it was just getting too much, too thick. So I left this little stand, but this is a little quick fire, and it's already turning its autumn colors. You can see, I suspect that the drought has something to do with that, but they do turn pretty quickly. But let me back up here if I can do that without falling down, and I'll give you a good view. I said in the video that this one was probably 3.5 feet tall, but now I'm looking at it, it's closer to 5.5, maybe 6 feet tall. So anyway, I was way off on my measurements, but the little quick fires, I love them. They are Panicle hydrangea. They are the very first ones that come into bloom for me. And they definitely, when they get their autumn color, they look like they're on fire. I love them so much, and the pollinators love them. Let's see. Oh, there it goes. The pollinators. One day, my husband and I were standing here talking about something, and I looked over and I said, "Whoa, this bush is on fire with the bees." And he said, "Yeah, it sure is." We'll take a quick peek at the Lady of Shalott that we planted together in a video, and she is really growing. Look at the one cane there, the sprout, whatever. She's really growing, and she's putting on some more blooms. She's reblooming. So I am excited to try to get her to train up to that trellis. I hope I can successfully get that done. But she's doing really well, even despite the terrible drought we've been having and the extreme heat. This is another Macrophylla hydrangea, and the blooms are already fading. I would say, again, it's probably because of the extreme heat we've been having. But here's one that's still looking pretty. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I have no idea which one this is. I planted it years ago, and in truth, I actually use this one mostly for the foliage, to cut the foliage for bouquets and stuff. But it's a nice hydrangea, and it sort of flanks this lovely gas tank here, necessity, things that you have to have out of necessity. But this is another Macrophylla hydrangea. This one was pink, of course, when I bought it. Now this one over here that we just looked at never changed colors. That's the color it stayed. It was that color when I bought it. So this one was pink when I bought it years ago. And now you can see that it is blue. That's because our ground is really acidic. And I need to and want to and will start harvesting some of these blooms for drying. They are turning really quickly too, just because of this heat and drought. But it made it through all of that. I did have to supplement the water a few times, or give it supplemental water, and I actually got buckets of water out of the river and went ahead and watered some of the bigger shrubs and trees and things because I didn't want to use that much water out of our well. But I love drying these Macrophylla hydrangea blooms. Just love them so much. But this is another little quick fire. You've seen this one many times in a video. Look at that. Yeah. And again, I think the blooms are maybe turning a little bit more brown than they should just because of the weather we've had. But it's just so lovely. And it's just covered in blooms. This one, I'm standing right next to it, so this one is definitely a good 6.5 feet tall. So the specs on that, of course, is 3 to 5 feet, but they are loving life. And you can see all of the dead grass, but standing back, this is my little courtyard here that I'm trying to create the room out of. So these are the two little quick fires that we featured in the video that I planted out, and again the flags are so my garden helper would have known what to water for me to do extra watering. So when you stand back, you can see how the room that I will be creating hopefully will be just have the little quick fires, which should get pretty big. In front of the little quick fires are sweet spires, they're Iteas, and they are so beautiful in the spring. Then we have the little quick fire back there, and these are two Panicle little limes here, and that's what I want to talk to you about in just a second. But I want to show you another mini Mavette. So this is a mini Mavette, and you can see the blooms have already faded. If I have any, I do have another one with the blooms still being pink, so we'll look at that one in a second. But look how sad it is with the grass. We don't do any watering of the grass just because, you know, that would be using a lot of water. But this mini Mauvette has just stayed small like this. This is probably maybe the 5th year it's been here, so it should be a good bit bigger. But the ground itself is very poor in this area. And as you know, as I've said many times, this is rustic garden. This is a farm. So, you know, I'm not trying to win any beautiful landscaping awards. When everything is well hydrated, everything does look really lovely. But still in all, we enjoy this space. We, of course, are very grateful to have this farm and have the family heritage here. But I want to get to these Panicle hydrangeas, really the entire reason for this video. So I'm going to flip the camera back around so we can chat a minute. Before we get to those, this is another mini Mauvette. So you see the difference in the size? When the color first starts, it is just so pretty, so beautiful. I personally do not mind the antique looking blooms. I really don't dry any of these. I just leave them on, but this is a smooth hydrangea, what did I say? Mini Mauvette. So it's been in here for longer than the one we just looked at, probably 7 years, maybe 6 or 7 years. So actually I did not flip the camera around. I wanted to just talk to you so that I can show you the levels, but I cut these, I have 3 altogether of the little limes. I cut them back, I think to about right here. I mean, it was basically sticks. It was sticks. Once I was done, last year they grew almost up to the roof. So my husband said, really, you've got to do something with those. So I cut them back so hard, and I told him, I said, I'm afraid I've killed them. I'm afraid we won't have any blooms. But look how well they've done. The blooms really are more tame than they have been in the past years. The blooms were getting to where they were so large, too large, I feel like, for a little lime, and now they're just the perfect size. I went ahead and limbed them up. You can see a lot of suckers. Whoops, I'm stepping on a sage there. You can see a lot of suckers. You see the straight canes or whatever growing up, the straight limbs. Those are actually suckers that should have been cut off years ago so that we would just have those couple of main trunks. However, because I did not have these limbed up, I couldn't see them. So I just have limbed them. I limbed them up this year so that I have more space. That is a pineapple sage that gets a wonderful red bloom, and the blooms dry just so beautifully. There's another pineapple sage. I don't know, we're not doing a tour here, but this was such a pretty, I'll throw a picture up of this lily. It was so pretty and so fragrant. Oh, it was just incredible. And it's placed in totally wrong place because that's really the height of it, but I still love it. I don't feel like I'm going to move it. But I was so pleased that these lovelies really bloomed and did well for me. Just so thankful, because I didn't want to lose them, but they couldn't go on like they were. They were just too big. So if you find that you have to prune back one of your Panicle hydrangeas, then don't be afraid, be brave, and just go for it. So there's a little pollinator. So here's the third one that I did not cut this one back quite as hard, but it's doing well. I did limb it up, as you can see, quite a bit. I limb up all of the shrubs that I can. I think I need to actually limb up those little quick fires, so I think it's time for them to be limbed up. But I also feed my hydrangeas in early spring with rose tone. So we're walking up here to my greenhouse area. This is a succession of pro-cut sunflowers that will be coming on really soon, and then a succession of zinnia. I think these are the oral orange and a mixture of the what is that called, queen lime orange, and I'll use those for cutting. It looks like there's some red in there. We did not direct sow those, we started those, but I do have some that are direct sowed. But I want to show you the other hydrangea, the other mini Mavette. This is a succession of tall marigolds. I love marigolds for drying. I do use them in some bouquets, but when you strip off the foliage, you don't have the marigold smell, that really strong smell. It's the foliage that makes the smell, but I love, love, love to dry them. So, whoops, I didn't mean to show this hardy hibiscus. I want to do another video on a new hardy hibiscus I bought. And anyway, this is the mini Mauvette, and you can see the color of the blooms here. I just bought this one, and I just ordered a 17-inch deep by 2 foot in diameter of a metal planter, just like this one. So it's going to go right there, and that mini Mauvette is going to go in it. So the mini Mauvette is suitable for a container. I will put all of the specs on all of these that I'm talking about in the description below so that you can look at that, but I do remember seeing on the tag that it's suitable for a container. So I think it will do just fine, and then if it outgrows that little ring that I bought, I can always plant it out in the landscape. And then rounding out our hydrangea tour, these are Firelight Tidbits, both of these. We planted these, was it last autumn, I think, together. Planted these out in these containers, and look how good they're doing. They're starting to turn their autumn colors as well. Still have not addressed our decking there. We need to, actually I think we're going to have someone come in and redo this entire decking here. The sun just really beats down in the afternoon on this area. You can see some buckets of flowers there that I need to, they're for drying. But anyway, these two Firelight Tidbits, that's really the full size they will get. They are really good for containers, and that's a Panicle hydrangea, and so happy that they're doing well. So these are sitting right in front of the house. You can see the Purple Majesty millet blooming out a little sooner than I wanted it to. It's still just the end of July. Usually I time it to where it will bloom out like mid-August, but it started blooming out earlier. So I like to have it for the autumn for decorations. Whoop, there's a butterfly. But anyway, I can always cut it and dry it. That's what I do with it when it's done. So one more look at these Firelight Tidbits. I love them so much. Well, that is our impromptu tour of my hydrangeas. And as I said, the main reason I really wanted to do this was to talk to you about how much I pruned back these Panicle hydrangeas in back of me and how well they did. I was really seriously holding my breath, like they were that, I was that severe with it was almost a rejuvenation prune practically, except I didn't go down all the way to the ground. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, and until next time, friends, of course, happy gardening. Bye-bye.